Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You're watching Bicycle Sidewalk and my name is Nathan Miller. Today I have 50 plus questions for you. Let's go ahead and get started, see how quick I can get through these. Here we go. How can the mass media affect our views and opinions?
On these kind of attacks against for Democrats and Republicans, does this help? You
want to know if media is detrimental? Just watch all this crap about the war.
It's imperative for the president.
Do you think animals dream?
Of course they do.
Have you ever been to a fortune teller or psychic?
Not really, but my aunt, who drew this picture using automatic writing, was pretty much the closest thing that I've come to being involved with a mystic.
How important is it to have a low-stress job?
What? Low stress? Very important.
Have you ever met a house husband?
You know, with as many gay couples as I know, it seems like every husband is a house husband.
Do you always lock your house?
Not as much as I should. I'm entirely too trusting. But then I have this big watchdog here.
What do you do if you feel lonely?
Peanut butter tracks. Just what I need when I'm lonely and depressed.
Have you ever driven a sports car?
Not unless this counts. Of course, we did have a Pontiac convertible when we were first married, but somehow I don't think that counted as a sports car either.
Have you ever fallen down the stairs?
I've thought about it a lot. Not in the, gee, I'd like to do that kind of a way, but in the, if those dogs don't get out from under my feet sort of way, I'm going to land on my tush on the ground. Fortunately, so far that hasn't happened.
What do you think about the death penalty?
I don't see any point in killing another human being. I actually think that life imprisonment without opportunity of parole is a much more humane, effective, and definitely cheaper way to go than killing somebody. So yeah, I guess when you come right down to it, I'm against the death penalty.
What do you think about animal testing?
Well, I'm kind of all for it, except that I don't think the dogs can hold a pencil in their paws or know how to write anything. And I think they'd get pretty bad marks if you went to give them a test. They seem to be more into basic things. Sex and exercise.
What are your neighbors like?
Well, the neighbors over on that side of the house just don't talk to us at all. They didn't even send us condolences when our child died. They call all the time when the dogs bark, and we have no communication whatsoever. The neighbors on this side kind of built a spite hedge there when we first moved in. Their first comments to me were, my, there are a lot of them, when they saw that we had 5 children. But things have mellowed over the years. They were very nice after the kids died. And then after their own child died, they were even nicer. So we get along okay now. We'll never be friends, but it's okay.
Do you turn off the water when you brush your teeth?
Well, let's find out.
Are there any foods you wouldn't eat as a child that you now like?
Mushrooms. Definitely mushrooms. Hated them. Now I love them.
Is it important to always tell the truth?
Yes. Unless there's a very good reason not to tell the truth.
What is the strangest thing you have ever eaten?
What is the strangest thing I've ever eaten? You know, I don't eat strange things, so I can't really give you an answer to that question. Maybe sushi. That's about as strange as I'll go.
Do computers really help us save time?
Well, if used right, maybe. But here it is. I've got a stack of work to do. I've got a living room to clean up. I have an office to clean up. And what am I doing? I'm making a video. So in my case, I don't think computers help us save time.
How much of a risk is a computer virus?
I live in a fool's paradise. I've got these great programs on my computer, and somehow I'm convinced that they're going to prevent me from getting a computer virus. Somebody don't wake me up. I'm enjoying this little fantasy world.
Do you have any tattoos?
Nope. The only body mutilation that I have is pierced ears, one on each side. That's it. I have no desire for a tattoo. I don't really like tattoos.
Is it important to pray every day?
Well, as a former religious person who was once going to become a nun, I suppose I should say yes. But since I don't know what my religious beliefs are anymore, I find that I don't really pray unless it's, please don't let me fall down those stairs and trip over the dogs, or the other way around, please don't let me trip over the dogs and fall down the stairs. Other than that, I don't.
How do you feel about cloning?
It means getting two of her. I don't think so. You're a nice dog, but no. If it means getting two of her, nah, I probably still wouldn't think I was in favor of cloning. I'm definitely not in favor of cloning humans. They might have more Donald Trumps in the world, and I don't know if I could stand that. No, we might have more George Bushes in the world. Ah, there's a nightmare for you.
Do you think there are living creatures on other planets?
I do believe in Martians. I do believe in Martians. I do believe in Martians. As a matter of fact, I know the Martian child personally. He's a friend of mine. Do I believe there are life forms on other planets? I think it would be very egocentric of us to think that in this entire universe we're the only life forms. We're the only planet, star, asteroid, whatever, that has life forms. Yeah, sure, there are life forms. But if you ever want to meet a Martian, let me know.
Have you ever been very, very angry with a good friend?
Oh, yes. Now, when Susan answered this question, she said that if she were very, very angry with a friend, it wouldn't be a very good friend. Well, the problem is that sometimes you don't know that they're not really a very good friend until after you get very, very angry with them. And I had a friend that was actually the partner of another good friend of mine. And he got very angry with me about something that happened in 1986. And he essentially cut me off without possibility of explanation. I was livid. And this is 2005. I still haven't spoken to him. I saw him once a few years ago. He's an actor, and I saw him in a play. And Walt went up to see him after the show was over, but I went and hid. I couldn't even face him. I'm still furious about it today.
Why do people go out at night?
Well, I go out at night mostly because it's part of my job. I'm a theater critic, and you can't review a show during the day, so that's why I go out at night.
What is your kitchen like?
This is pretty much typical of my kitchen. Not exactly clean. Doors not all closed all the way. Still some food left on the stove. But it's me, and it's comfy, and it's homey, and there's a dog dish.
How do you feel about changing your nationality?
Yes, more and more and more every single day. If I could legitimately immigrate to Australia, I'd be there yesterday.
Would you ever buy a used car?
Well, I wouldn't buy this one. It belonged to my son, but we have it. I don't think we've only bought a new car once, and that was when we had a van. We had 5 kids, and we needed something that was big enough to hold them all. But usually it's used cars for us. We're not new car people.
Would you ever kiss on the first date?
Date? What's a date? I've been married for 40 years.
How often do you use your cell phone?
This is where my cell phone stays most of the time. If you'll notice, it's flashing red, which means that it's recharging. It's either here or it's in my purse, where I forget to turn it on or forget to turn it off. I think if I use my cell phone once a month, that's a lot. But I have it because if I need it, it's there.
How important is it to have an interesting job?
How important is it to have an interesting job? Well, I think it helps. My My theater criticking job is pretty interesting. More fun probably than interesting. And my medical transcription job used to be a lot more interesting than it was, but I've been doing it for so long I could do it in my sleep, and frequently do. But it's something I can do from home, so I can live without the interesting. Occasionally I do have an interesting case, though.
Should you spank a child when they do something wrong?
Basically, I'm against spanking. I think that, however, there may be a time and a place for it. When a child is in the process of running out in front of a car, you don't want to be gentle with it. I see an awful lot of people these days who let their kids get away with murder rather than to avoid creating an unpleasant environment. Sometimes I think things have to be unpleasant. Things are unpleasant for me, and I learn lessons from that. That said, we didn't spank our kids very much, but we did spank them now and then.
In what ways has science made a negative impact on society?
Well, I don't know. I think science has allowed us to preserve foods a lot longer, and I think that is causing a lot of cancer in society. Science has allowed us to live longer, and I don't know that that's necessarily a good thing. I don't want to live to be 200. Because of scientific advancements, we have pollution, but we also don't have polio. We have the ability to blow up the world, but we also have the ability to help people live with AIDS. So it's kind of a toss-up. I guess you take the bitter with the sweet.
Have you ever, have you ever went on a blind date?
In a word, no.
Do you consider alcohol a drug?
I come from a long line of alcoholics. Most of my mother's siblings were alcoholics. She wasn't, but most of my mother's siblings were. My father was an alcoholic. I think at least one, maybe two of my sons were alcoholic, but they're both dead, so who knows. So do I think alcohol is a drug? Yes, I do. I think it is more harmful than marijuana. I don't smoke marijuana, and I rarely drink, so I kind of don't have really a vested interest, but yeah, alcohol's a drug. It's considered by the American Psychiatric Association to be a drug, so yeah, it's a drug.
Do you think office romance can be successful?
Kind of depends on the situation. I think it depends on the kind of office, depends on the marital status of the people involved, depends on a whole bunch of things. I don't see why an office romance is any more or less successful than any other kind of romance, but I think it can also be very detrimental.
Do you believe there's life after death?
Is there life after death? I'm counting on it, because I'm really, really looking forward to grounding these two guys for all eternity for being so stupid as to kill themselves in the prime of their life.
Thanks for watching.